Messin with wrong woman. Meg shoot herself in the foot, as Paris counterattacked her right on podcast. Meghan Markle confessed she was nervous about interviewing Paris Hilton on her Spotify podcast, because she had made a judgment about the socialite. The California-based royal, 41, released the 6th episode of her Archetypes podcast, titled Breaking Down the Bimbo, on Tuesday. In it, Meghan and Paris, also 41, discuss how the blonde bimbo or dumb blonde archetype flourished in the reality TV boom of the early 2000s. Meghan Markle has revealed she felt judgment and envy towards Paris Hilton when she was young because she was always the smart one growing up while Hilton was the pretty one. Paris actually said in her own documentary This Is Paris that she adopted the dumb blonde persona knowingly. This was no accident. She knew this would make her money and get her the independence she needed from her parents who shoved her into the troubled teen school. And it has worked out pretty well for her. She is light years away from Meghan in every way possible. And I'm saying this as someone who did exactly what Paris wanted, buy into the dumb bimbo persona. I didn't think much of her until I watched her documentary. Paris built her entire career on being notorious for playing a bimbo. Then flipped it around once she decided to be a DJ, an activist for that school she says she was bullied at, and then at one point she was into art, when she was engaged to the last guy, the actor. Now she is absolutely playing the part of a good wife who just wants to give her hubby a baby. Paris made millions from her fashion and perfume lines by her bimbo act. Can't understand why she would now bash that cash cow. Haven't listened to show assuming she was bashing it. Indeed. If she was as smart as she claimed to be, then she would have passed the diplomatic corps exam. I'm not dissing anyone who doesn't pass exams, we have all failed at some point, and I don't think paper smartness is all that counts. It's just that Meg has a high opinion of herself and it's really annoying. The Duchess of Sussex, 41, sat down with the American socialite, 41, for the latest episode of her podcast, Archetypes. During the episode, Markle and Hilton discussed the term bimbo, used to describe women as attractive but unintelligent, and how Hilton played into her media narrative as a dumb blonde. At the start of their conversation, Markle explained to Hilton that she was nervous for this specific podcast episode. I remember growing up in LA around the same age and you were just so famous and so beautiful, the royal admitted. I was this nerd, so it was so hard for me to think about what you and I would talk about when so much of the identity, whether it was placed upon you, or you adopted, or embraced, or used to build a career, was about not leaning into being smart. Paris responded by saying she was also nervous about speaking to the Duchess of Sussex, adding, "'Cause I'm just such a shy person and we haven't met before." Throughout the episode, Hilton opened up about the alleged abuse she experienced at the Provo Canyon School in Utah, which Hilton was sent to by her parents when she was 16 and returned home 11 months later. She claimed that adopting her Barbie doll persona was a safety mechanism to escape the trauma she experienced at the school. You heard me at the beginning of this episode talk about how I was nervous for this one. Nervous because, while I'm embarrassed to admit it, I had a judgment about Paris. And I don't like having judgment. Doesn't feel good, Markle said. When I grew up, she was beautiful, rich and famous. What could possibly be wrong with her life? I would think. And because my entire sense of self-confidence was wrapped up in being the smart one and not the pretty one, I found the way to project all of my judgment and envy onto her. She added, "Who would want to act stupid? I would think. Envy can be a very dangerous thing, as can judgment. I was ashamed to admit that I harbored either of those feelings." Markle also opened up about her own experience with the label bimbo during the latest Archetypes episode. The Duchess of Sussex, who appeared on the game show Deal or No Deal during the early stages of her acting career, explained that she didn't like how the show made her feel not smart. That she didn't like how the